Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand. It is another show with one of my favourite people. We have Ricky on the show talking all things. The Brighton game kicks off at 12:30 tomorrow. First away game of the Premier League season. Let's start how we mean to go on. Let's put things right of the past. Also touching on who should be starting for that game. What should Erik ten Hag change, if anything, for that game? A lot of debate over whether De Ligt should come in for Maguire. A lot of debate on whether Xerxes should start. Should Garnacho come into the team? Should Mount drop to the bench? What should happen? We're going to be talking about it because I think Ricky will have some strong opinions, as per usual, that not everybody agrees with. And that's the important thing about the show, and that's the important thing about the community. So get your comments in as well. Both have some strong opinions on Mount, some positive opinions, which I think are very well needed, and about the new transfers as well. Also, Jadon Sancho very well be off to Juventus. What does that mean for, the future of the wingers at Manchester United? Do we need to bring anybody in? But Jadon Sancho, getting him off the books, how does that help us out? Going to touch a little bit on that. Coming in from Laurie Whitwell at The Athletic, that Juventus are in talks to sign Jadon Sancho. What do you think about that? But Ricky, after that very long intro, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's great to talk football with you, as always. But, I mean, how excited are you, first of all, for the first away game of the Premier League season tomorrow?
Absolutely, really excited. Just can't wait for it. I can't wait. I've been looking forward to it since Friday night when the game ended. You know what I mean? It's great getting the first win of the season in the first game, and I'm desperate to get the second win of the season in the second game. Now it's not going to be easy. Brighton's always a tough place to go to. Sometimes it surprises you. You can have a good win at a tough place. We had a good win there last year. We don't often win there, so I wouldn't say that we're underdogs. I think we've got a chance.
I think it's very interesting because I've seen a lot of people online saying, it was only Fulham. Fulham are a good team. Most teams in the Premier League are good teams. A lot of people saying it's only Brighton. I say, hang on a second. I watched Brighton versus Everton. I didn't watch the whole game, but I kept dipping in and out. It was a 3 o'clock one, wasn't it? Kept dipping in and out, looking at the game and, kind of keep my eye on a few others. But Brighton were very good. I know it's a new coach. I know it's the start of the season, but they were very good. And a lot of people say, Ashley Young got sent off. Ricky's favourite, Ashley Young.
I think they were 2-0 up already by then.
That's what I was going to say.
People are saying that. It's not really that relevant.
It's not. No, I agree. Even though Ashley Young did have a bit of a shocker, ex-United legend, love Ashley, but he did have a bit of a shocker. Brighton were already ripping him. I was watching it. So it's going to be a tough game. And then the last 5 Premier League games against Brighton, cover your ears, United fans. Hopefully we turned over a new leaf because we did beat them away from home 2-0 at the end of last season.
Yeah.
But before that, 3-1 defeat at home at Old Trafford, 1-0 defeat away from home. We did, Erik ten Hag's first season, Brighton did the double over us because first home game of the season we got beat 2-1. Then before Erik ten Hag was even here, it was a 4-0 away loss. So we have had some tough times against Brighton in the past, and it's time to set the record straight, isn't it, Ricky? It
is time to set the record straight, but whether those results in the past had actually happened, I'm not too concerned about that now. I just want us to get these 3 points, irrelevant of what's happened in the past. So it's not about setting the record straight, although that is, it's nice if you set the record straight. But I just need us to get these 3 points. To have 6 points after 2 games would be absolutely brilliant, a breath of fresh air. And obviously the game after that, you shouldn't really be looking more than 1 game ahead, but the game after that is Liverpool at Old Trafford. So I'd love, what would I give to go into that game with 6 points? Especially considering,
Manchester United against Fulham, a lot of people had a lot to say about the performance, but, the fact of the matter is we looked a lot more defensively solid. We, kept their chances to a minimum. I think, in the first game of the season, last year we were conceding chances left, right and centre to Wolves, and that continued for the majority of the season. I mean, most chances conceded in a game. Fulham, we kept it quite tight, to be fair, and they did have a few chances, of course they did, but it was so much better than it was last year. That's exactly what we need to do away from home against Brighton because, like you say, sometimes, considering the position you're in, you're away from home, don't lose the game in the first half. Get to half time. You want it to be a little bit of an edgy game. It'd be great if we could go down there and beat them 3-0. But are United in that position? Keep compact, keep defensively defensively solid, we can get a goal. And we'll talk about how Erik ten Hag does that and what his best team is. Going to maybe put some polls in the chat as well and get you guys involved, because it is live. A lot of people asking if it's live. We are live right now because I'm live. I can put, 3 fingers in the air. There you go. 3 goals. That's how many we'll score against Brighton.
I wish.
That's actually not my prediction, but maybe I'm dreaming a little bit now. Rob McCormack, absolute legend, in the chat said, "Hi superstars. I think it'll be the same, but Garnacho for Ahmad." I think I might agree with you, Robert, but I don't think that's what Ricky would do. Is it what I would do? I'd have to have a little think. Let Ricky talk first and see if he can convince me. But yeah, I think Erik ten Hag might go that way. But Ricky, look, we're going to talk a little bit about the Fulham game, going into the Brighton game. We've got so much to digest. I mean, if anybody isn't following Ricky on Instagram, you need to go and give him a follow. Rick the Red on Insta. He's been doing some clips breaking down the game, and he's got some opinions. I mean, it was tongue-in-cheek, but McTominay did get compared to Xavi and Iniesta. Go and find that. I was just drinking my coffee.
That was a bit tongue-in-cheek, but it was a lovely little pass.
Go and check that out, but watch this show first before you do that. And, I mean, what does Ten Hag have to do to give the team the best possible chance going into this game, Ricky?
For me, he's got to set the team up as he set it up against Fulham, and you just spoke about the game against Fulham, and you mentioning that we were tight, but we were really tight for an hour. Obviously, there was the breakaway in the first half where he left Martinez for dead, but then Martinez did brilliantly the next time against him, against Traore, but they didn't create chances in the first hour, in my opinion. In the first hour, I felt with Ahmad on the wing, he's more defensively sound than Garnacho. I think I'd love to see either a heat map or one of those maps where they show the average position on the field. And I think Ahmad gets back quicker, and then once you get back quicker, you're then in a defensive position that you don't go forward from until we win the ball back. I think you'd find that Ahmad's average position on the pitch is probably 10 or 15 yards deeper than Garnacho's average position on the pitch. And also, obviously, Xerxes more of a striker. So when Mount goes off, who's a midfield player playing as a false 9, we've got 2 players then who are playing a little bit further forward. And I don't think it's a coincidence that in the last half hour, that was when Fulham came really into the game, mainly with breakaways. But they did have. They had chances to make chances. Obviously, there was the one where Maguire stuck his foot out and blocked it when they should really have passed it better, and it was a one-on-one then. There was the one where they got in down the inside left channel, if you remember it. It was fed across the 6-yard box, and Martinez knocked it out for a corner with his right foot. There was numerous situations where they got really close and should have done better in the final third. But I believe all that was because we went more gung-ho, more on the front foot, trying to score. And I tried to explain this after the game on the forum, that even while we were playing compact, we still had good chances. I think the manager needs to have a little think about this. And, people, I'm sure a lot of the fans and a lot of people watching this will think we've got more chance of scoring when we... And I know we did score when we went more attacking. I know we did score. But if you look at the 2 chances that Bruno missed in the first half and the chance that Mason Mount had literally, 5 or 7 minutes into the second half, that was while we was playing more compact and we'd 4 across trying to stop him. We probably, obviously we did get the one. The one that Garnacho should have scored at the end, that was because they were down and they were trying to get forward, and plus it went under the defender's foot. I believe we played better, and I believe we had better chances while we were playing defensively. So it's a difficult thing to get your head round. People think you've got more chance if you bring forwards on. I don't think it's necessarily the case.
Well, it's fine margins, because there was periods of time when we did bring the subs on where we did score that goal where, Fulham had opportunities.
Yeah, and that's my point.
Yeah.
It could have gone either way. Whereas during the period of the game where Bruno had 2 chances and Mount had a chance, they hardly had a decent chance in that period. In the last half hour when we only had a couple of chances, they also had a couple of chances. Do you understand what I mean? It's more finely balanced, yeah.
Well, I was actually very pleased with our first half performance. Like you said, Bruno, I thought should have had at least 2 goals. Mount could have had 1. We did create opportunities. And I think, people will only see at the end of the game, the goals that count, obviously, not the chances that were missed. I mean, people will talk about them, but that will fade. But you've got to take all of these factors into account. What's going to give Manchester United the best chance? There is a lot of news coming on Jadon Sancho right now, so we are going to talk about that in a second for sure, because there is some news coming on that, so we will talk about that. So, but Ricky, what would your starting 11 be, and what do you think Ten Hag's starting 11 is going to be then?
I think his starting 11 is going to be exactly the same as it was on Friday night, and mine would be very similar, very similar. I certainly wouldn't make a change in the back four. I won't make a change in midfield. Maybe on one of the flanks I might make a change. I might play Garnacho and Ahmad as opposed to Ahmad and Rashford, but I certainly won't be dropping Ahmad. You just mentioned that before, didn't you, about Garnacho for Ahmad? I wouldn't do that in a million years. Garnacho for Rashford, maybe, but not for Ahmad.
So you don't think Xerxes has a chance of getting a start in this game? And what about Ten Hag's new signing, De Ligt?
Xerxes, he looks an absolute quality player. I love the way he played. I love the way he touches the ball and passes the ball. His awareness of what's around him. I think he's going to be, look, it's difficult going after 25 minutes did he get, something like that. But I do think he looks a quality player. But it's horses for courses, and it's the way your team is set up and how the team, how the manager wants the team to play. So, I mean, obviously, if Xerxes played, it's going to be at the cost of either Bruno or Mount, and I don't see that happening. I think Bruno and Mount, they both work their socks off. I'm not a big fan of Bruno's. As you know, he gives the ball away too much, and he did on Friday night. But without the ball, the team shape is fantastic when we've got the 11 that started. Even Rashford is getting behind the ball more. That started in the cup final against City. Walker,
I've noticed that too.
Yeah, Walker couldn't get past him. Not that... When I say couldn't get past him, people might think that I'm talking about him being physical, knocking him over, stuff. I don't mean that. I just mean being in a good position, 8 or 10 yards deeper than Walker nearly all the time. And then when you leave that gap between you and your opponent, it's really difficult for him to get past you, even with a pass, if somebody passes it to him. So I think Rashford's defensive shape, in the team, his defensive role in the team has been better in the last few competitive fixtures. So much so, I mean, I'm not a fan of Rashford's either, but so much so that I won't be devastated if he starts. But I would perhaps think about putting maybe Diallo on the left and Garnacho on the right.
Oh, so you'd put? I mean, I don't think Ahmad will move to the left. But that's something you would do.
That won't happen. I'm not suggesting that for 1 minute. If he was going to ask me what I'd do, there'd be about 3 changes. But I'm trying to suggest. Can I guess what they'd be? I'm trying to suggest what the manager should, what I think the manager will do.
If you were going to do it, I reckon I could guess. You would have. This is if Ricky could do whatever he wants. You would have Ahmad and Sancho on the wings, wouldn't you?
Probably, yeah.
And you'd replace Bruno in midfield for McTominay?
Maybe McTominay. Who did you say on the wings? Ahmad and Garnacho, did you say? Ahmad and Sancho. I might even play Sancho as a false 9 along with Mount. I think he plays simpler, sharper passes. That's why he's played in the European Cup final. That's where it's how to play the game.
I mean, we'll get your chats in, get your super chats. Going to do some polls as well.
Nobody needs to say that's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen. You've asked me what I would do.
Yeah.
What I would do.
If anyone wants a full breakdown of what Ricky could do, would do, not could do, let me know in the chat. Let's start a poll as well before we talk a little bit about Jadon Sancho, because obviously Ricky would start him and he's not even making the squad. We have got some fresh news coming on that, so I do want to touch on it, as obviously we always cover the latest news here on the United Stand. I'm going to put a poll in the chat. Should Mount keep his place in the starting 11? Because he's someone we are going to touch on straight after the Sancho stuff, and got a lot to say on Mount. So should Mount keep his place? Let's get the poll running before we do our little analysis and breakdown on it, Ricky. But I want to bring in a little bit of news on Jadon Sancho to you, Ricky. So it's coming in from The Athletic, Laurie Whitwell, that Juventus are in talks with Manchester United over a move for Jadon Sancho, and Juventus are seen as the likeliest destination for him. However, finding an agreement among all parties could be difficult, obviously, because his wage is absolutely huge. Juventus are expected to come in with a loan offer for Jadon Sancho with a contribution to his salary. They may wait until the last few days of the window to reach an agreement. again, you know, it's going to be, we'll pay half his salary, you have to pay the other half. So we'll be paying for him to play somewhere else, which I don't see why we would do that. Then it says, one source around Manchester United says that not being in the squad against, it says, one source around Manchester United, that doesn't make sense, what's been quoted there. Okay. One source around Manchester United says Sancho reacted to not being in the squad against Fulham by reaffirming his desire to leave. He was mixing with teammates in Old Trafford dressing room before kick-off, but wasn't seen watching the game with the others. So, yeah, Sancho basically not being picked in the squad for the opening game of the season. It reaffirmed for him that he wants to leave. Juventus are currently offering a loan deal with a potential obligation to buy with a contribution to his salary. And then Fabrizio Romano's come in and said that Juventus are currently in talks with the agents of Jadon Sancho, Nico Gonzalez and Francisco Conceição. That's how you say the name. They will make their decision on the wingers soon. So it's basically 50-50 on whether Sancho goes. And, I mean, Ricky, let's get your opinion in on this. Do you see the logic in Manchester United contributing to Jadon Sancho's salary to play somewhere else?
I don't see logic in it in one way, in that, you know, I rate him as a really good footballer and we should be using him in our squad. And but the thing is, it just appears as though it's like a little bit of a falseness that's been said about him having, you know, buried the hatchet, and you know, they've not forgotten about it, have they? He's not made the squad against Fulham. I mean, who was in the squad was Anthony on the bench. I think Anthony was on the bench. So this goes back. If you take this all the way back to last season, at the beginning of the season, he had a brilliant pre-season last season, and then third game in, he was left out of the squad against Arsenal, and I think Anthony was probably starting in that game. Anthony can't lace his boots. Cannot lace his boots. Anthony will never play in the Champions League final as long as he plays the game. He probably won't play in a quarter final. Yet we've loaned Sancho out. He's gone to another club, and I've watched the games. He was absolutely superb. And like I say, he reached the final of the Champions League. Now it's looking like if he goes, he's going to another team who will be in the Champions League. We're only in the Europa League, don't forget. Do you know what I mean? So these clubs can see, somehow they can see that what a good player he is. Certainly Dortmund can, and yet we don't seem to rate him, or our staff don't. I don't get it. And they talk about, another thing that was spoken about was his attitude, but the people at Dortmund rave about his attitude, his work rate, his training and everything. So I don't know what's going on.
I mean, in the past there has been stories coming out of Dortmund about him being late and etc. etc. I think
one thing I do know for sure is he's miles better than Anthony. He's better than Garnacho. He's better than Rashford.
Don't agree.
He is better.
Absolutely do not agree at all.
He's miles.
You think that Sancho is better than Garnacho?
By a country mile.
He's not.
By a country mile. If Garnacho was playing for Dortmund, they wouldn't have got to the Champions League final. It makes that much difference.
I don't agree.
It makes that much difference, Beth.
There's no way that Jadon Sancho.
Did you watch them quarterfinals and semi-finals?
Yeah, I did, right.
Did you see his work rate?
And he played well, right?
Only well.
He played very good.
He played above and beyond Garnacho could ever play as long as he plays the game.
I don't agree. I don't agree whatsoever.
I agree with myself.
I know you do, but there's no way that Jadon Sancho makes the impact that Garnacho did for us last season. Like, I've watched Jadon Sancho in a United shirt. Garnacho did more in his first 10 games than Jadon Sancho did.
Forget it, Beth. We always have this. You know, I don't agree. I thought he played well when he was in a United shirt. I've said this to you 10 times. It was only because I watched him playing for United that I knew he was a good player. Then when we lend him out, he goes and plays in the Champions League final. We're now going to sell him to another club by the looks of it who are in the Champions League. They'll probably do well. He was fine for United, but when you're playing with a load of dross, it's hard to pick out the player who's good, who sees the short passes and plays with his head up. It's difficult to see it. He's better than most of the United players, but that's hard to see when he's playing with crap players.
Don't get me wrong, I think he's a very talented player. I've always said that. But in a United shirt, for me, Rashford's done more than him, Garnacho's done more than him.
I should think Rashford has. He's played about 10 times as many games.
Yeah, exactly. I get that. I understand the debate around Anthony. I get that completely. I think Ahmad's better than him. But, you know, I was so buzzing when Jadon Sancho first came in. I do think he is super talented. I don't think he's a bad player. I just think every time I watch him for United, right, I just think there's something missing. There's something missing every time.
We'll have to try and pick a game and go and watch it together, and you show me what's wrong with him. Let's try and pick a game that he played in. We'll dig it out of the archives and we'll watch it, and you show me what was wrong about him, and I'll show you what's good about him. In a red shirt.
Deal.
Pick any game.
We'll make that deal. We'll make that deal for sure. But get your comments in down below. Some people massively disagree and some people agree. I think you touched a nerve with the Garnacho comment, Rick. But, you know, it's just, you know, everyone's got different opinions. And, for example, Ricky likes someone who's going to keep the team shape, knock the ball about, you know, slowly, like, you know, that way. You know, a lot of people like the excitement of Garnacho, the fact he can, you know, win games and you know, turn the game on its head.
What does win games
like
mean?
That.
That's a comment that I hate in football. Win games. It means scores a goal, doesn't it?
Well,
is that what it means?
Or contributes to a goal, for example.
Somebody who can contribute to a goal or score a goal. Well, anybody can do that.
It always seems to be him. Like, for example,
doesn't always seem to be him.
Community Shield scored the goal. Brilliant goal, by the way. Against Fulham, I know there was many chances, but the ball that went back into the back of the net, he contributed to. He always seems to be in and around the action, in my opinion. Like when he comes on the pitch, he always looks like someone that's most likely to
He usually
do
starts
something.
when you say he comes on the pitch.
Well, when he's on the pitch.
Usually starts. That's only just changed.
When he's on the pitch, for me, he looks like one of the most likely people to do
wasn't
something.
contributed.
I think Ahmad likes to be called Ahmad, by the way.
All right, sorry. Ahmad hasn't contributed to a goal yet. But please don't think, I don't mean you, I'm sort of pleading with the manager, do not think that we've got to start changing that. It is about the team shape, being in the game. And like I said to you, it's about dominating territory. When we've got the players that stick together in a group and the shape's good and they're not detached from the rest of the team, leaving spaces for them to attack us, you're dominating territory. And while we were dominating territory like that, with Ahmad on the pitch and with Mason Mount on the pitch, like I said to you, we had 3 great chances. If we'd have took a chance or two, we obviously won't be having this conversation. It's not about playing defensively. If you dominate territory, you've got a lot more chance of actually creating a goal and scoring a goal, and it can come from anybody within that unit.
I mean, one question I would ask to you, I'm not saying this is everything in football, but it is a question. Do you see Sancho being able to take the game by the scruff of its neck and go and win it?
I don't even understand what that means.
Do you know what I mean? Like, for example...
You mean scored a goal?
You have match winners.
Is that what you mean, scored a goal?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He can score a goal, yeah.
No, but like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you just know a player, like, they've got the ability to go and win you a game. I don't think Sancho's a player that can go and win you a game.
What, scored a goal, you mean?
Yeah, like,
is that what you mean?
or do something, like, or create a goal.
I hate that comment.
Yeah,
I hear famous pundits on the telly saying, oh, he's a match winner, he can win you a game. What does that mean? Does that mean score a goal?
Or create a goal, or beat a few man and get into the box and, you know, draw a foul really quickly.
He's brilliant at beating a man and getting the ball in the box. He's absolutely brilliant at it.
I've not seen him for United do that, though. I've not seen him take a game by the scruff of his neck, apart from maybe the Liverpool game, which is where he scored that goal that was obviously win it 2-1. It was great. He's just, to me, he's not that player that's going to, you know, for example, I know in the last 10 minutes of game we're up against it, you know, I've seen Rashford do it before, I know Garnacho can do it, I know Bruno can do it, I don't see Sancho, I know Ahmad can do it, like, I don't see Sancho being that. He's a very good technical player, and I had such high expectations for him coming into United. But
you're looking too much at what's going on with the ball.
Well, the manager clearly thinks it as well.
Oh, the manager does think it, yeah, but he's wrong.
All right.
Well, he fell out with him, didn't he?
I do think attitude's a big thing.
He left him out against Arsenal, didn't he? Completely out of the squad, and he said that he hadn't trained well, and then he denied that. Then this season they're supposed to have buried the hatchet. Then he leaves him out of the Fulham squad, and I get the problem. Look, I feel a bit sorry for the manager, but is it of his own doing? He's the one that paid 80 million for Anthony. If we didn't have Anthony, look, we'll never really know, will we? But if we didn't have Anthony, probably Sancho would have been in the squad and on the bench. You know what I mean? I know Anthony didn't even come on. We've got too many wingers now. We've just let Pellistri go, by the way. Pellistri's better than Anthony, but what did we get for him? €5 million or something? That's an absolute joke. Pellistri's a good player, another one who understands the value of the team shape and where to be on the park.
Well, let's see what he does with
That's
this.
more important than being able to win a game, as you put it.
No, I do think that is important, and I liked Pleshy as well. I hope he has a good career.
There's more chance of the team winning a game if the shape's right and if they stay together. There's more chance of the team winning without worrying about, as I always say to you, who's going to score the goal or make the goal.
Well, let's see what happens with the rest of Pleshy's career.
I mean, look, Palestri's gone, Sancho's going to go. We're stuck with what we're stuck with, and the ones that we're stuck with, Ahmad's the best of the lot by a country mile.
Definitely. I mean, I really do like Ahmad, and I think he's one that we all universally sort of agree on. But, I mean, we've debated Sancho a bit. We've got loads of super chats coming in, so I will read them. Ultimately, the question is that deal worth it? I think if Sancho wants to leave, you have to do the deal.
Oh, he's got to go, yeah. I mean, look,
He's got to go
if I was
play
given
football.
the manager's job tomorrow, he'd be straight in the team. But it's not, it's not going to happen under this manager, is it? So he might as well go.
Yeah, I mean, let's see what happens. You know, let's see what happens with Jadon Sancho. For me, would be frustrating that we've not sold him, to be honest, because while Ten Hag's here, he's not going to have a future at Manchester United. I mean, let's be honest, unless pigs start flying. Like, let's be real, he's not going to have a future at Manchester United. So we need to sell him and get some money in for him. Another loan where we're paying his salary to play for somebody else, for me, it just looks poor. We did this to ourselves by putting him on a massive contract immediately. I mean, the old regime. But I would want to try and get a sale done. If you get an obligation to buy him there, that's half decent, because that means they have to buy him at the end, and hopefully it'll be for a decent fee. But, we've got to be looking to do a deal that suits United, and we're not, taking the mick out of a little bit with the deal. We've got to make sure that we get some sort of compensation for this, because at the end of the day, Sancho is a decent player, and we shouldn't be, just paying for him to play for someone else unless there is something that we can gain out of, for example, an obligation to buy. But yeah, I mean, let's see how that develops. The last winger you really rated at United's playing for Leeds in the Championship still, Ricky.
Yeah, he should be playing for the better team.
If only they all saw what you saw, eh?
Yeah, if only they saw it. I'll tell you who loves him, Bielsa. He's a good manager.
Bielsa is a very good manager.
Yeah,
he also loves
Pellistri
Pellistri as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, got some super chats coming in. And we have NR13 saying, Ricky, you're a true baller. Really enjoy your perspectives, mate. Ghazi Baba says, are either of you going tomorrow? We're not. Bit too far, to be honest. And we'll be on the fans forum as well from the studio. Ron McCormack says, does Ricky think Sancho has done it in our shirt? I think he just answered that question.
I think he has, yeah. I think he's played well enough.
And Patrick Lynch says, with Sancho, it's not about to do with his talent. He has talent. It's about the application effort. It's obvious the league doesn't suit him. Do you agree? You don't, do you?
I don't know. Look, he wasn't even with us last season and we finished 8th. I mean, what are we thinking about? We finished 8th and he's playing in the Champions League final. And what are we all looking at? What's our thought process?
Trey Warren. The thing is, I think most people would mutually agree that he's technically a good footballer. It's just whether the system doesn't suit him, whether the league doesn't suit him, whether the application's not there. I don't know.
If you're right and I'm wrong, because I think he did all right when he was playing for us, and I just think the players around him have got to be on the same wavelength, right? But if you're right and he didn't play well for us, and he's that good that Dortmund wanted him and got where they want to, now Juventus want him, who might well do well in the Champions League. They're a big club. Why is it that these clubs are interested in him? Do you understand what I mean? Why is it?
Because he's played well for Dortmund before, and
now Juventus
probably feel like they can get a good deal.
PSG was supposed to be after him.
Yeah,
But it's not Panathinaikos, is it, where Palestri's gone? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, because he is a technically good player, and Sancho's, he rips.
They won't be just looking at him being a technically good player,
No,
but
but
they'll be looking at his work rate and his effort and the positional play.
He ripped it up in the Bundesliga, and they'll be thinking they can get a really good deal because of what's happened at United. And they are trying to get a good deal with another loan. I'm sick of the word loan. I'm sick of it. Just buy him. Trey Warren says, Ricky, Sancho is a player that makes it to the big game and flops. Garnacho makes it to the big game and shines. That's what I meant, Trey Warren. Like, Garnacho does shine in big games, and for me, he's a big game player, but Ricky doesn't like that.
I hope you're right.
MV says Sancho isn't better than any of those players in a United shirt. Grace Sheridan says, to be fair, Anthony couldn't lace his own boots. Liam says, Dortmund isn't the Premier League, nor has the weight of United or the level of competition for places. Ricky, would you have Chiesa over Rashford?
Chiesa, the Juventus winger, is it? Yeah, not seen enough of him. I always say that to you, but I'm not going to change my ways. I've not seen enough of him.
No, it's fine. Rocket Game says, Ricky, do you think McTominay is better than Rodri? Obviously he doesn't.
No, definitely not.
Alex Marmon says, Sancho may have played a Champions League final, but he didn't win, whilst Garnacho won us the FA Cup, and unlike Sancho, performed in a major final.
It's a little bit different. But he did play. Look, all the team played well in that game.
Bjorn Nesta said, Ricky spitting facts. And Liam says Ricky could argue his way past the misses.
Not meta.
Exactly. Thank you everyone for all your super chats as well, getting involved. Love the debate and love all of the different opinions coming in. The poll is going. Let's move on. Let's talk about Mason Mount. Let's talk about the Brighton game. The poll is coming in. Should Mount keep his place in the 11? Let's see what.
Let me guess.
You guys are saying. Ooh, it's closer than what I thought it would be, though.
I'll say 56% say yes.
You're wrong.
Go on.
Okay. 45% say yes.
Wow.
55% say no. Ricky, let's educate them.
Yeah, we've got to start like we started against Fulham. Fulham hardly had a chance in the first hour, and we've got to start like that.
Especially away from home in the first away game.
Yeah.
The thing is, for me, it's like, based off what happened last season, we cannot be going into games just getting ripped apart or, conceding chances or giving the opposition any sort of glimpse to think they can get, can get goals and dominate us and win the game. Doesn't mean we have to play like that all game. For me, we're away from home. The last thing you want is to go a goal down. What you want to do is go into that game, get, like you say, your team shape right, defend well, limit Brighton's chances, and then second half, you can go and get that goal. You can make them substitutions. For me, Mount was so crucial in that Fulham game to the press. Ultimately, winning the ball back in their third, which means, if you've got them high turnovers, it's less likely they're going to get into your third when you're winning the ball back that high up. Mason Mount was really good at forcing them errors from Fulham and, worked really well with Bruno to create that press. The midfield, I thought he was super energetic. I thought he made some great runs into the box, like you highlighted on your Instagram. Won some balls he probably shouldn't have got to. Drew a yellow card for Fulham as well. I thought he was an engine in that midfield that really helped us in terms of, keeping our strength in there and being a stronger team unit. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, definitely. I've watched it back twice in its entirety and numerous times, bit by bit, to find the little clips that I've made for Instagram. So I've seen a lot of it. I've seen it a few times, and Mason Mount had a proper decent game and a better game than even I thought when I first watching it live. And that's what happens in football, and I've had people say, oh, I've watched it, I don't need to watch it again. I get that a lot. You do need to watch it again. When you watch the game live and you're that much, you want your team to win, every mistake seems bigger than it is. And every little thing, especially if it's a player that you like, you notice the good things and you don't notice the bad things. If it's a player that you don't like, you notice the bad things and not the good things. And if you just watch it again calmly, because you will watch it more calmly when you already know the result, do you know what I mean? And just study it, you'll see the game in a completely different light.
Yeah, I mean, the one game I did watch back with you, Ricky, it was very interesting. I need to make sure I do more of them.
Yeah, do another one, definitely.
But what I will say...
We need to try and do one with Sancho in it, but that might be... Anyway,
I didn't watch the full... I didn't watch the full Fulham game back, but I did watch bits of it back when I got home that night, first game of the Premier League. And I agree with you. What I saw from Mount, I was actually more impressed than when I was watching the game. I'm not saying, he's turning up like Kevin De Bruyne. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, I think he goes under the radar because, he's not someone that's, scoring like the flashiest goal, but he does the hard work and he's really important for the team. And I think he lets other people shine as well. And you always need players like that. The only thing for me, which is a tricky situation, is I did think we missed a focal point of a striker. I thought Xerxes brought that when he came on. But at the same time, if you bring a striker in like Xerxes, that means probably Mount's the most likely one that's going to have to be dropped. It's like we can't go through the season playing false nines. Like we're going to have to bring in a striker at some point. How do you keep that shape? How do you keep that press as good as it is? How do you keep that compactness by losing one of them midfielders, which we are going to have to do? That's the question I ask.
Obviously, when you bring a striker in, I said this about the Fulham game, we brought both Xerxes and Garnacho on at the same time, and that's why the game became more open. You know, they're a little bit more detached from the rest of the team than Mason Mount is and Ahmad. But if you do want to start playing with a striker, look, the big teams can play with a striker because when I say we're a big team, the best teams, they play with strikers. Liverpool play with a striker, City play with a striker, but they're dominating possession all the time. We need to build into that. We're a team that finished 8th, you know what I mean? And you know, with a tiny little bit of bad luck, we might have finished 10th. We need to realise where we are. We've got to start by being compact, stopping the other team from scoring, and trying to nick games. Like I said, not a little bit different to the way you looked at it, Beth, where you say we might be able to bring subs on and go for it later in the game. As I've said it till I'm blue in the face. We had 3 great chances while we were playing defensively. We will make chances. We will dominate territory. So I want us to play like that and keep playing like that for now. The next game's an away game. The game after that is Liverpool at home. I think we've got to play like that. At some stage, we do want to start playing with a striker, and we do want to start dominating the play. When we're dominating the play more, and being less under pressure, and by having a striker who's detached a bit from the team, then you know we can play. When we're dominating the play more, we can afford to do that. But we've got to start dominating the play more. How do you do that? You need your 2 wingers to work hard so that when you need to have 10 players behind the ball when they've got the ball. So you need to have your 2 wingers back, you need 2 midfield players back. When I say 10, I'm counting the keeper then. And then you need a number 10 who's also going to drop in, and you've just got the 1 striker up top. It can work for us, but for the time being, he's got to stick with what we're doing, I believe. Making it really difficult for them to get through us.
Dan Davey says we played our best football when Mount played. Ace St John says, hear me out, Mount, Mainu, Bruno midfield against Brighton. I don't think you can afford to
leave Casemiro out
because of, you know, he even though
it's just the position that he plays, Beth. It's where he plays. I remember Amrabat playing in his position. He was a little bit unlucky, Casemiro. Although he didn't seem to be quite as fit as he should have been. He was a little bit unlucky that we had loads of defenders missing because he had to play centre half for the last 3 or 4 games, which meant Amrabat got in the team, which meant Amrabat played in the cup final, and he played really well, by the way. But what I was going to come to, if you remember the Brighton game, which was the last league game of the season, I don't know if you remember it, but there was a lot of people saying we've got to drop Amrabat. He gave a few loose passes in that game. And I was saying, no, we haven't got to drop him. He sticks to the role. Obviously, it's not ideal giving the ball away, but you need somebody who's going to stick to that role, and he sticks to that role absolutely, you know, implicitly. He stays right there, stays in position, so that then when they're coming against you through the midfield, at least you've got that man there. Hopefully, others are going to help him, which did happen in the cup final. So you need a player who's going to stick to that role, even if he gives the ball away a few times.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. For me, it's hard because I'd really want to bring Xerxes in, but I'm definitely not dropping Bruno. I'm definitely not dropping Mainu. I don't want to drop Mount. And
Mount played a lot better than Bruno did.
I think Casemiro has to play.
A lot better.
So I honestly, if it was me now, I would be starting the game with the false 9 still, just while we're easing into the season. I don't want to make any mistakes. And like I said, I know Ricky disagrees with me, but you can make them subs later in the game and ease certain players in.
But hopefully you don't need to, Beth. If you can get a goal or 2, if you can be even 1, if you can be a goal up with 20 minutes left, 25 minutes left, why would you bring extra forwards on?
Interesting stuff. I mean, I would start Garnacho personally, actually. That's a change I would make. I would want to start Garnacho
in place of who?
This is the thing, I speak about this. I don't want to give away my road trip, which I filmed. I speak about that more on there. It's tough, but I did say who I would drop to bring Garnacho.
So you'd bring Garnacho in and change it. Please don't say you said Ahmad. Please
No, I didn't.
Don't say it. Right,
I didn't.
Okay.
Ahmad,
I won't pressure anymore.
For me, I think Ahmad has to play, but I explained it why it would be that, and it wasn't like I was super disappointed with any players. I just think Garnacho can offer more personally, and I really liked his cameo in that game. You know, he did lose the ball a couple of times, which was unfortunate because Fulham did break. But like I said, super exciting going forward. And Community Shield, I thought he was great as well. And last season was really important for us. I'd bring him into the starting 11. But I want to ask you about Joshua Zirkzee. I mean, debut, Ricky, doesn't get much better than coming off the bench, scoring the winning goal at the Stretford end.
Yeah.
I mean, fantastic. And it was a great goal as well.
Yeah.
Great team goal.
Yeah.
You put it on your Instagram.
Absolutely loved it. What a goal.
I mean, are you excited by this player?
Yeah, really. Like I said, he reminded me of Anthony Martial with his touch and his, you know, the simplicity of his layoffs, knowing when, you know, knowing that he's got to pass it and move, and he really did look a quality player. And funnily enough, mentioning Anthony Martial, he came off the subs bench and scored a great goal at the Stretford end on his debut. So hopefully that's an omen.
Ricky, here's a couple of things for you, right? De Ligt has won the league. Every club he's been at. The last time United won the league, their new signing of a Dutch striker scored against Fulham.
Right.
Robin van Persie.
Just a coincidence, I don't
No,
think.
in the first game of the season.
Yeah, it's still a coincidence, so yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just
it's
saying.
an interesting coincidence.
But yeah, I mean, Zirkzee looked good. And if the team didn't start, I thought, quite well, I would have thought about bringing him into the starting 11. And I do think he could be needed, because I do think we lacked a focal point. But would you still be tempted to bring him on off the bench if we need him? Or would you be tempted to start him?
No, I'd stick with the same team. I would stick with the same team, and I'd only be tempted to bring him on off the bench for. I wouldn't quite bring him on with. I think he got 25 minutes to half an hour the other day. If it's Brighton away, it's going to be a tough game. They're great going forward. I wouldn't be changing it quite so early. I'd be changing it with 15 minutes to go. That's what I'd be doing. Okay. If it's still 0-0.
I thought Ten Hag.
If we're leading, I wouldn't be bringing him on at all.
Obviously, we've spoken about this, so I won't go on too long about it. But you know, it could go either way. But for the way it finished, Ten Hag's subs worked like a dream.
Yep,
they really did.
Didn't do us any harm, did it?
So, I mean, your two subs being involved in the winning goal was perfect in his mind. So, just a little bit more on this Sancho situation. Fabrizio Romano's just done another update. He said, as reported in the recent days, it's 100% open with Jadon Sancho, with an exit considered a concrete possibility in the final 7 days of the window. Manchester United received an approach from Juventus, as reported yesterday. Direct contact. Jadon open to leaving Manchester United. So basically the same thing as we've seen before, to be fair. But just another concrete update there from Romano. So Jadon Sancho could be on his way out, which I think, you know, could do us a lot of favours in terms of PSR as well. I mean, looking at the fullback situation, I don't know if did you catch the Brighton game or you watched the highlights?
I just saw it on Match of the Day, the few clips. I saw Brighton give the ball away loosely a few times, even in the brief highlights. But anyway, go on.
Well, hopefully we can
hopefully they do the same again.
Make the best out of that and capitalise. But the new manager, youngest manager in the Premier League, loves to work with wingers, wide play, loves it. You know, he had Mitoma and Minter.
Mitoma's back fit again. What a player he is.
Yeah, but have you seen his Minter as well?
I've not. Obviously, he was in the highlights. I've seen Mitoma loads of times.
Mitoma's class.
Minutes.
We know
He's
that.
Brilliant.
Matoma is absolutely class.
I just hope Mazraoui can get him in his pocket.
That's what I mean. Are we going to miss Wan-Bissaka in this game? Don't start it. No, we're not. Because we want to, well, we might, but we want to play more on the front foot eventually. And Mazraoui looked, we'll talk, but that's what I'm leading on.
He looks solid.
That's what I'm leading on to. So the wide play, Mitoma, and the new player they've got in Minter that looked mint, as I was saying. He looked really good. So, you know, they're going to be tough wingers to handle. This new manager loves to play in wide areas. A big task on the hands of Dalot and Mazraoui. I mean, hopefully they're up to it. They looked good. I mean, thoughts on them two, and would you keep Dalot at left back and keep Mazraoui at right back?
Yeah, I think Mazraoui had a cracking game at right back. I really like the look of him, and I can't wait to see more of him. But he will have his hands full tomorrow with Mitoma. He really will. But if he can have a good game against him, I will be excited by it.
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you look at it, and it's like, obviously, you know, Luke Shaw barely is ever fit. But if Luke Shaw is fit, really starts a conversation if Mazraoui continues the way he did.
Yeah,
did
it'd be a shame for Dalot. I mean, he's only switched to left back because we haven't got a left back. So then if the left back gets fit and he loses his spot, but it happens in football. It's happened many times in the past.
What will be interesting is if Erik ten Hag keeps them as they are, left back Dalot and right back Mazraoui, or he changes it. Because if he moves Dalot back to right back to deal with Mitoma, that's an indication, of his trust in Dalot potentially. I think Mitoma did give Dalot a bit of a hard time in the game against Brighton in the FA Cup semi-final, if I do remember. So maybe he'll stick with Mazraoui there, because Mazraoui looked really solid defensively, I thought, in that game against Fulham.
He looks a quality signing.
Yeah, I'm excited for him. Really excited for him. And then also want to talk about another signing. Quickly, United once put a super chat in. Why not drop Mount? Does nothing with the ball. I tell you what, rewind and watch the last 20 minutes because we explained it then. So we did just explain that. But thank you for your super chat. On that, but we did just literally talk about that subject. De Ligt. I don't know if you've been watching Mr. Goldbridge recently, but he's been saying, even though Maguire played really well, De Ligt's the future, De Ligt's the partner for Martinez that Ten Hag's brought in. The longer you leave it, the longer it's like, what if Maguire keeps playing well and then you can't get De Ligt in? He's like, he's your player, you should just put him in the team now. And we did a poll on the United Stand Instagram, and 70% said they think De Ligt should start instead of Maguire in this game. What are your thoughts on that?
I'd stick with Maguire. He did have a cracking game. And I just think, he knows the Premier League. De Ligt's not played in the Premier League. It's a tough away game. We could do, look, no game's easy, but we could do with bringing De Ligt into a home game after we've steadied down. If we can, I don't know, if we can win 6 and draw a couple out of our first 8, maybe then bring him into the team when we're looking solid and we've had a good start, and again, hopefully in a home game against somebody who's near the bottom 6, but even that can come back to bite you in the bum. But Maguire might not be as steady for a few games, and if somebody loses the place, that's different. But if Maguire plays tomorrow like he played on Friday, then he deserves to play against Liverpool. And against Liverpool, by the way, if Maguire plays tomorrow as well as he played against Fulham, I'd be definitely happy to keep Maguire in that game.
Do you know what it is for me? It's like whatever Ten Hag does, if it goes wrong, he's going to get criticised.
Oh, he's going to get criticised if it goes wrong either way. But, De Ligt did get 20 minutes. Was it 15, 20 minutes? So did Johnny Evans, by the way. They both did all right. But like I said, I've watched that game back a few times. You shouldn't really criticise. I'm not criticising him, I'm just pointing something out. There was a moment where he had the ball in the right side centre-back channel and there was somebody available in the right-back slot, and Dalot was 20 yards ahead of him. It was after they'd switched over, so Martinez had gone to left-back. So Dalot was at right-back. And Dalot was ahead of him, but in field, and he should have passed it to the right-back, whoever was in the right-back spot. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Garnacho, obviously, because he's wide right. But somebody who's in the right-back spot, he should have passed it square to the right-back. And he tried to fire it into Dalot's feet. And, Dalot's a full-back. He's not used to receiving balls into his feet with his back to goal. And we just lost the ball. And he picked the wrong pass. You need to learn who your teammates are. There's loads to do in football like that. And just, it was an error. It was an error by De Ligt, and he was only on the park for 15 minutes. And Maguire hardly put a foot wrong in the time that he was on. Interesting
stuff. I've said I'm on the fence about this because, on one hand, you want to get De Ligt in, because he's your signing. I get that he's the future, but at the same time, I've always said, if you play really well, you deserve to keep your place.
Yeah.
And Maguire did play really well. The thing is,
I'll be shocked if Maguire doesn't play. And I don't know if he's fully fit. I mean, he came off, didn't he? But if he's fully fit, I'll be shocked if he doesn't play. I'll be shocked.
Well, get in the comments what you guys think. I think the majority of the chat would like to see De Ligt come in. The thing is, if you bring De Ligt in, Brighton away is a really hard first game. And it's like, if he makes a mistake that leads to a goal, everyone's like, why did he drop Maguire? If Maguire plays
he doesn't have to make a mistake. It's such an hard place to go to, and it's happened over the years. We could get beat 4-0 there tomorrow. Whichever one of them plays, it could happen. So, and if it's the new man who's playing, that's not going to look good, is it?
Well, that's the thing. And if Maguire, doesn't play well, everyone's like, oh, he should have just started De Ligt. So yeah, let's see what Erik ten Hag does. But do you know what's really refreshing? The fact that, you know, our big centre-back signing, Euro, obviously I wish he was fit, but he's injured and no one's really talking about it because we actually have depth in that position now. People are debating, you know, should De Ligt start, should Maguire start, because Maguire's actually played well. He's not as much as a liability as he used to be. He actually had a really good performance. You want that depth, so that's something I am thankful for. Miles Doig says 42 million on De Ligt to wait 6 games, seriously. Well, let's see what happens. You never know what happens in football. I mean, the main thing is that we win. And hopefully we keep clean sheets and we keep the goals to a minimum.
Everybody, look, fans love shiny new toys, and fans love when the club splashes out a decent amount of money. We paid 80 million for Maguire, and I was there after his 3rd game or something, doing a fan cam outside and saying he's not the player that you... and everybody said, you know, everybody's laughing at me. I said, he's not the player that you think he is. Fans trust their club to spend the money wisely. The fans cling to the hope that the club are right and that the management are right. And despite the fact that Maguire's playing well now, he's never an £80 million centre-half.
Oh, never.
He isn't. And I said it after 2 days or 2 appearances. And people were laughing at me at the time, Beth. And I'm telling you now, De Ligt has got to adapt to the Premier League. And I know he needs games to adapt. But at the moment, with this game coming up tomorrow, and we want the points in the bag, it's not the right time to throw him in. And I'll be absolutely shocked if he puts him in. Let's see what Erik ten Hag does. Last but not least, Ricky, to round it off, you said I was going to do this, and I'm always going to put you on the spot. Let's do some predictions. Score prediction from you, please. I'll go 2-1 United. Took the words right out of my mouth. Excuse me. Bless you. Thank you. Bless you. I'm going 2-1 as well. Okay. Hopefully that was a lucky sneeze. Yeah, and we're right. Because I've had a feeling 2-1. I do think we'll concede because Brighton are good. They usually come in 2s. Oh. Bless you again. Thank you. Get in the comments down below. What is your score predictions? I mean, it's impossible to pick out who you think is going to score a goal. I mean, we'll see. I'll go Mason Mount. Ooh, nearly got one, didn't he? Nearly got one against Fulham. I'd love him to get a goal. I think Bruno's got to score this game because he missed too many chances. And he said he put an apology out to his FPL owners, me, who captained him, and he said that he's going to repay us. So I hope that he gets a goal. I don't care. It could go in off, you know, someone's, you know, left ear, and I wouldn't care. Like, as long as it goes in the back of the net and we win the game, that's all that matters. But who's going to score? I'm going to go with Garnacho and Bruno. I think we'll score 2 goals. I'll go with Mount and Ahmad. Mount and Ahmad. Interesting stuff. Get in the comments what you guys think. But look, everyone, it's been an absolute pleasure. Love talking football with Ricky. Love the debates. Love the comments. And how excited are you on a scale of 1 to 10 for the fans forum tomorrow? 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. You heard it here first. Make sure you tune in tomorrow to all the match day coverage. 12:30 kickoff. It's an early one, and I can't wait for it. Get all your comments in down below. Hit a like on the video. Stay tuned. Any more breaking news, we'll be live. But if not, Mark will be live for the 8 p.m. show on a Friday night. It will be legendary. Thank you for watching, everyone, and we will see you on the next one.